Nothing ever happens at Vexlear Academy until the cameras glitched and 3 students were carried to medical. My name's Krill, by the way, and I'm what you'd call a professional observer, third shift security technician, which is a fancy way of saying I sit in a cramped office and stare at screens while the rest of the station sleeps. Now, here's the thing about working security at the most prestigious interspecies academy in the Galactic Collective. Nothing ever happens. Nothing. These are the cream of the crop, the brightest minds from 200 different worlds, all here to learn advanced physics, quantum mechanics, and how to not accidentally insult someone's religious customs during lunch. The wildest incident we'd had in my entire tenure was when a Sif Ronnie student got drunk on fermented plant matter and tried to declare the cafeteria an independent nation. That's it. That's the highlight reel. So when I came in for my shift rotation on cycle day 847, standard galactic calendar, I expected the usual mind-numbing routine. Check the overnight logs, scan through flagged incidents, which is usually just someone forgetting their access card, make sure the environmental systems didn't glitch and freeze anyone's dormitory. Standard stuff, you know? Except something was flagged. Red priority. Critical review required. I stared at that little blinking indicator on my console like it had personally insulted my entire family. Red priority. Here, we don't get red priority. We get slightly elevated yellow because someone left a door propped open. Priority red means something went wrong. Really, properly, spectacularly wrong. The timestamp showed the incident occurred at 16:47 hours the previous cycle, right after advanced engineering classes let out. Location, Maintenance Corridor 7, subsection Delta. That's the back hallway near the practical labs, the one students use as a shortcut between the engineering wing and the main atrium. Cameras everywhere, full coverage, multiple angles. Our surveillance net there is absolutely flawless, and I mean flawless, because the Academy board spent an obscene credits making sure we could monitor every centimeter of this facility. So, naturally, the footage was corrupted. Of course it was. I pulled up the file, and what I got was 4 minutes and 12 seconds of absolute static. No video, no audio, just digital noise where there should have been crisp, clear footage of the hallway. The cameras before the incident, perfect, crystal clear. The cameras after, also perfect, showing absolutely nothing unusual, just students walking past like it was any other day. But those 4 minutes, gone, vanished, glitched into the quantum void. Fantastic, I muttered, clicking through the adjacent camera angles. Absolutely fantastic. State-of-the-art surveillance system costs more than a small moon, and it decides to take a nap during the one incident that gets flagged as critical? The supplementary report was interesting. Medical Bay had logged 3 students admitted with various injuries. Thaxin Velnir and his 2 constant companions, Drask and Peller, all Krillians from Krill Prime, which is what we call a standard gravity world. Nice place, actually. Been there once for a conference. Comfortable, boring, safe. The injuries listed were, and I'm reading directly from the medical file here, 2 fractured manipulator appendages, 1 dislocated joint cluster, severe bruising across 3 different body sections, 1 cracked cranial plate, and something the medical AI flagged as acute stress response consistent with significant physical trauma. For context, these 3 students were engineering majors, big guys, relatively speaking. Krillians are built solid, good muscle density, decent height. They weren't fragile. And yet something in that corridor during those missing 4 minutes had absolutely wrecked them. The incident report filed by the students themselves was even more fascinating. According to their official statement, they'd accidentally collided with a maintenance cart and fallen down some stairs, which would be almost believable, except for 2 tiny problems. There were no stairs in Maintenance Corridor 7, and our inventory logs showed 0 maintenance carts checked out during that time frame. So, someone was lying. The students were lying. The cameras had mysteriously glitched, and the only other person listed as present during the incident window was one Vera Chen, human, first cycle exchange student from Earth, enrolled in advanced engineering with a near-perfect academic record. A human, a deathworlder,
and 3 Krillian students who suddenly couldn't remember how to tell the truth. I leaned back in my chair, all 4 of my eye stalks focused on that corrupted footage timestamp, and I started laughing. Not a happy laugh, mind you, more like the laugh you make when you realize you're about to spend the next several cycles piecing together something that absolutely nobody wants pieced together. Because here's what I've learned in 16 cycles of security work. When the cameras glitch, when the students lie, and when a human is involved, something fascinating happened. And fascinating in a place like Vex Lear Academy usually means someone made a very, very stupid mistake. Right, so let me back up and paint you the picture of what led to this mess, because context matters, and also because I had to interview about 20 different students to reconstruct this timeline, which was absolutely as fun as it sounds. Vera Chen arrived at Vex Lear Academy at the start of the academic cycle as part of Earth's new exchange program. Humans fresh to the Galactic Collective, eager to prove themselves, sending their best and brightest to learn alongside the rest of us. Standard procedure for newly integrated species. Nothing unusual there. Except humans are weird. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as a statement of observable fact. They're from Earth, which xenobiologists classify as a Class 12 death world, which is a polite scientific way of saying everything there is actively trying to kill you, including the weather, the wildlife, and probably the plants. Vera was quiet. That's what everyone told me. Quiet, polite, kept to herself mostly. She'd sit in the back of the advanced engineering lectures, taking notes on her datapad, answering questions when called on, getting perfect marks on every practical exam. 5'5" in human measurements, which translated to average height for her species. Dark hair usually tied back, and this utterly unremarkable appearance that made her blend into any crowd. Unremarkable except for her eyes. Multiple students mentioned this independently, so I'm not making this up. Her eyes had this quality that made people uncomfortable if they looked long enough. Alert, constantly scanning, like she was perpetually assessing threats that nobody else could see. Deathworld instincts, probably. When your planet's idea of weather includes lightning storms that can vaporize buildings and predators with enough bite force to crush titanium, you develop a certain awareness. Now, enter Thaxon Velnir and his delightful crew. Thaxon was, according to multiple character witnesses, exactly the kind of student every academy has and nobody wants. Rich family, legacy admission, just enough intelligence to pass his classes without effort, and absolutely convinced that this made him special. He'd been top of his cohort before Vera arrived, coasting on natural talent and that annoying combination of privilege and incompetence. Then this human shows up and starts casually outperforming him, not by trying apparently, just by existing and doing the work. Their engineering professor, a very patient Talaxi named Horvath, told me the tension started building around week 3. They'd been assigned a practical problem, design a propulsion system that could function in high radiation environments. Standard third cycle stuff, challenging but manageable. Vera submitted her design early, not just early, but with innovations that Horvath, who'd been teaching for 40 cycles, had never seen before. Something about recursive shielding and magnetic field manipulation that made the entire system 30% more efficient. She explained it in class with this matter-of-fact tone, like it was obvious, like anyone could have thought of it. Thaxon's design was good, solid, textbook. It would have been top of the class any other cycle, but it got second place, and he did not take it well. She cheated, he told his friends loudly in the corridor after class, not quite loud enough for the professors to hear, but definitely loud enough for Vera, who was walking behind them. Humans just got here, no way they're that advanced. She copied it from somewhere. Vera, according to witnesses, didn't react, didn't speed up, didn't slow down, didn't say a word, just kept walking to her next class like it was any other day. But here's where human behavior gets weird. That probably made Thaxon even angrier. Because when you insult someone and they don't react, don't defend themselves, don't even acknowledge you exist, that's worse than fighting back. That's dismissal. That's saying you're not even worth the energy of a response. Over the next few weeks, it escalated.
Small things mostly. Thaxin and his crew started sitting near Vera in lectures, making comments just loud enough for her to hear, questioning her answers, implying she didn't belong, suggesting maybe deathworlders should stick to physical labor instead of engineering. Vera's response? Absolutely nothing. She'd sit there, take her notes, ace her exams, and maintain this perfectly calm exterior that apparently drove Thaxin absolutely insane. Professor Horvath noticed. Obviously, she's not blind. But here's the thing about academic rivalries at prestigious institutions. Unless someone actually does something actionable, unless there's a direct threat or physical altercation, administration tends to classify it as interpersonal conflict and let students work it out themselves. Character building, they call it, learning to navigate social dynamics. Yeah, well, that policy aged spectacularly poorly. By the time we get to cycle day 847, the day of the incident, tensions were high. Vera had just aced another practical exam, something involving quantum field calculations that she'd completed in half the allotted time.